The head of Nigeria's Air Force has urged operational commanders to show no mercy as they tackle mounting insecurity that has spread from the country's north.
Nigeria's military will use maximum firepower in a bid to uproot the armed groups behind mounting insecurity. That's according to a statement released by Nigeria's Air Force on Wednesday, reporting comments made by its head, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, the day before. He was speaking amid almost daily violence in Nigeria's north, linked to militants or armed gangs. But insurgent groups have also carried out attacks outside their northeastern enclave. That's raised fears that their networks are spreading. In the northwest, armed gangs, known as bandits, carry out kidnappings for ransom and kill villagers. They were recently designated terrorists, but the military's response has been sporadic. With their resources concentrated against the militants, the bandits have largely been able to roam free. Air Marshal Amao told a meeting of commanders that the security situation remains fluid and uncertain, with armed groups moving between states. He added that operational commanders should show no mercy and ensure they employ maximum firepower. Late on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari said the Nigerian government had given security forces full freedom to deal with and bring an end to this madness. He was speaking after attacks by gunmen in 3 northern states last week that left scores of people dead. Nigeria's police said on Tuesday additional manpower was being deployed around Abuja, days after local reports of an attack at a checkpoint near the capital.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's broadcast regulator, the National Broadcasting Commission, has fined MultiChoice Nigeria, which is part of a South African pay TV group, and others 5 million naira each for airing a BBC report that said it glorified the activities and bandits and undermined national security. Well, for some reaction, we're now joined by Nana Nwachukwu, who's a lead consultant for Silverchip Fox Consulting, a Nigeria-based research and knowledge management firm. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you. It's nice to be back here.
All right, so tell us about this fine. What does it tell us about the Nigerian authorities? It sounds like censorship.
It is censorship, right? The Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, or Commission rather, has been finding different ways of censoring impartial media. This comes a bit as a shock because in the past, media houses like MultiChoice and the rest of them, BBC, have always published this type of information. The essence of this type of documentary is to make people aware of what is going on, to encourage meaningful discourse as to what is going on. And also, because there's been huge and mounting insecurity in Nigeria, the essence of this is to help people understand how important it is to be about to be aware of their environment and be safety conscious, basically helping the government enforce some of the suggestions it has made to the Nigerian citizens and Nigerian residents. It is disturbing. I remember that sometime in May, a filmmaker had taken NBC to court and won for trying to restrict licensing, right? This is something similar. NBC is finding new ways of trampling on human rights. This time around, they're worried that when people find out what is going on, there's going to be panic. Of course, I can understand that being an arm of the government, they're being used in one way or the other to push political narratives. We're going to elections in 2023. By March 2023, Nigeria will be going to general elections. Currently, there's huge problems mounting in all parts of the country. It's no longer just in the Northeast, it's now in every subset of the country. And rather than find what the issue is, rather than encourage impartial news, they are restricting people who dare to tell the story of what is happening. I'm genuinely worried about what is going on, and I fear for what's going to come.
The NBC talk about advising broadcasters not to carry things that are deleterious to Nigeria's national security. Where does public interest and national security start and finish? Because that's really what they're trying to put on the table.
Here's the irony. A core social objective of the Nigerian Broadcasting Code is to disseminate impartial news and opinions in a manner that's encouraging, meaningful, and to articulate dialogue and discuss issues of public interest. This is why it's ridiculous, because your your main code, your ethical code to broadcasters is that they must be impartial. This means that you're telling them that they should rise above personal interest, they should rise above religious interest, they should rise above political interest to bring information to the public that's of national interest. There's nothing of higher national interest right now than security. Security is top on the list of national interest right now. It's top on the list, is the public interest, is what everybody is discussing. National Orientation Agency of Nigeria is telling people to be aware of their environments. The Nigerian police is telling people to be aware of their environment, distributing numbers to call in case of an emergency, telling people to be, conscious of what's happening. A couple of days ago, a hideout for kidnappers and robbers was discovered very close to the national headquarters of the Nigerian police. So there's nothing else that takes precedence in the discussion currently in the public space, if not security, right? So if there's a publication, a documentary, information that brings to you how threatening this situation is, it is a wake-up call for the government to understand that, look, this problem, when crisis, if it's not home yet, let the media bring it home. That's the whole purpose of the media, to bring home the reality to the people, to the government, to be the moral reflection of what is happening. We saw what is happening in that video. Personally, it made me more security conscious. It made people to start asking questions. Who is my neighbor? Are these people hiding in between us without us knowing, and with us encouraging it without knowing? So there's the role of the media in the moral fabric of the people, in the personal consciousness of the people. But trying to restrict that, it means that you are now controlling the narrative. It means that the media wants Nigerians to believe that all is well. And when people believe that all is well, there's a bit laissez-faire approach to security. It means that they're not conscious, they're not reporting things like they should to the authorities. It's a problem. I think that people who take care of our security, the Nigerian police, the armed forces, the civil defense, and the rest of the military and the paramilitary should be really concerned if the media is being gagged. Here's something that's going to happen. The Nigerian military has been crying out for a long while about some disparities between the things that they hear is made available to them and the things that they actually have. The same method was used to quiet them. It's disturbing if the media that's supposed to bring information to the people, the media that's supposed to be very transparent, is being partial. That's disturbing, because if you place a fine of 5 million naira in this very difficult time when people are laying off staff on media houses, both the big ones and the small ones, it means that people will be more careful about news that they're reporting. And it also means that if they don't want to go out of business, then they will report things that they shouldn't have any business reporting. It will basically turn into a gossip section, right? Nobody's going to do investigative reporting anymore. Nobody will be encouraged to do documentaries that tell us exactly what's going on. That's a big problem.
Just last week, we were having a conversation about the police saying that filmmakers cannot do films painting the police in a bad light without permission. And now we're hearing about these fines. I just wonder if you're getting a sense over time that the media space is shrinking in terms of its being allowed to express itself, and is starting to become reminiscent of the times of some of the brutal military regimes.
One of the things that's been that this administration has shown as one of its characteristics is the lack of tolerance to free speech, right? The third sector, which is the nonprofits, have taken brutal hits because of this. The civic space has continued to shrink. And if there's something that we know, it is the fact that the media is the mouthpiece of not just the civic space, but of the people. The media is the mouthpiece of the people. And the more it continues to curtail, the more it starts to look like the things that we were told in storybooks, the things that we were told of men in uniform, right? The things that we were told of when people would not dare tell a joke about generals, when people will not dare tell you what is going on, when people would not dare ask you, why are you arresting me? If I recall correctly, the NSAS movement, which, which blew through the continent in October 2020, was basically a reaction to the restriction, the shrinking voices of young people, the shrinking voices of every Nigerian, basically, because of the brutality of the police. Now imagine the press is being oppressed in the same way. Who's going to tell the stories? Who's going to tell what's happening? So it's systemically, the whole place seems like it's closing in on Nigerian residents, on Nigerian citizens. It feels like we're going back to dark times. And this is why it's even more saddening, right? I was really young in the days of the military. My parents were fairly in their 30s, right? The new generation, the Gen Z of Nigeria, have never experienced military rule. They haven't, they don't know it. If they did, it was as babies, but they never experienced military rule. So looking at what is happening in their own version of democracy, reading about what is happening in progressive countries and their own version of democracy, and then reading the laws that we have formulated for ourselves and seeing that the version of democracy that we're practicing does not look anything like the laws that we send the people to represent us, the laws that we have made for ourselves. The democracy we're practicing doesn't look like it. There's no way in the Nigerian constitution where free speech is supposed to be limited in this manner.
All right, we're running out of time, so perhaps you can answer this last question as quickly as you can. I get a sense sometimes that the authorities are misreading just how much influence the media has on its own. We live in a world of social media now, where a lot more influencers have more followers than a newspaper has sales. I just wonder if the Nigerian authorities are chasing the media where in an environment where actually a lot more influence is to be had on social media, maybe.
To be honest, while the influence is on social media, mainstream media remains a reflection of the generation of Nigerians who actually still read widely, right? And listen to these things deeply. So the government, if there's something that the Nigerian government is accurate on, it's on how to understand the pulse of the people. What they choose to do with that knowledge is something totally different altogether, right? To be fair, in a way, to the Nigerian government, some of their reactions are more based out of fear. So fear without preparation leads you to develop knee-jerk reactions to policy issues. For instance, I understand that they're worried that this could create publicity for people who are terrorizing Nigeria, right? But here's the ridiculous part. The people who are terrorizing Nigeria are uploading videos on the internet every day and getting and targeting the generation of Nigerians that's in a larger number, the young people, right? And then you're right. And these people are running to speak to the older generation of Nigerians who are still very, deep into mainstream media, while the terrorists are targeting the younger generation, the larger population. The best thing to do is not to antagonize that generation, but make sure that you have your own version of, the truth. And at best, you have facts to present to the people and that you're responsive. Let me tell you something that's funny. Our president has not spoken to us, has not had a town hall with the people, has not reached out to have a chat with the people since he became president. The only days we hear from our president is either when he's condemning something strongly in the news or when it's a national holiday and he's congratulating people or commiserating with people. Such a terrible way to lead people.
All right. Nana, always great talking to you. Thank you. Your views and insights greatly appreciated. Thanks for your time as always.
Same here. Thank you.
All right, so that's the situation in Nigeria. Nana Nwachukwu, lead consultant for Silverchip Fox Consulting, a Nigeria-based research and knowledge management firm, talking to us about what appears to be a squeeze on freedom of speech and also media outlets that might be reporting and showing programming that's not flattering to the government.